Alright, a quick how to solder video. Here I'm going to solder this little header onto a circuit board. Now the important thing about soldering is that everything needs to be clean. So in the case of new boards like this, new boards and new components, they're generally already pretty clean, so you don't really need to worry about it. Flux in the solder will help clean. In the case of old boards or copper boards or something like this, you can see that this isn't copper, but with copper boards they oxidize pretty quickly. So you can probably see a little bit there's half of it's clean, half of it's dirty. If it's dirty, you just give it a bit of a scrub and it should be alright. So with soldering, like I said, everything needs to be clean. That includes the iron as well. So you need to have three things when you solder. You need to have, of course, the soldering iron. You need some sort of sponge or cloth that's damp. I've damped this. And you need some iron wool, or steel wool, I should say. And yeah, these two will clean the iron. You can get a proper soldering kit. I'm poor, so I only spent like $1 on the two of these. And yeah, so when you first turn on the iron, you've got to clean it first. So stab it in to the wool. That will, get most of the bad stuff off the iron. You never want to wipe it across because it's springy and it will bounce. So you stab it into. Get the stuff off. Then what you're doing is you're tinning it, so you melt some solder onto the iron. Don't want to breathe that in because it's dangerous. You wipe off, you'll see there's a lump there maybe, yep. So you want to wipe off the lump and should have a pretty nice silver looking iron tip, and you use that to solder. So here, then each solder joint should only take about not even a second to do. So I'll move this a bit closer. Alright, when you solder, you can put the iron anywhere, alright, and do your thing. When you do solder, you want to pull out the iron, give it a quick wipe, and then go to solder. So here, I'll do this one. The important thing is, when you do solder, you have the iron on one end, and you push the solder through the pad and the component. What the iron does is it's heating up the component and the pad, not the solder. You don't want to touch the solder onto the iron. So I'll try and do it left-handed to show you a bit better. So hang on, I'll tin this side because I missed it. So you heat up the pad and the component, and then you just touch the solder onto the pad. You see that it will just flow on this. Right. So give myself a bit more solder. Right. Touch. Generally, each joint should only be a second. You want to wipe it each time, so it remains that silver look, because that's the most heat. Heat up the pad and the component, and then you just touch it on like that, and then you want to make sure you touched enough solder on. Then you inspect your work. It should all look pretty alright. My camera's not really good at focusing it close up, but it's generally it. Cheers.